Recently, President Obama made it clear that society needs to change generational urban poverty if there's to be any real transformation in America. The mission of college-bound Dorchester is all about that change. It is about the effort to get the twice dropout, gang-leading, and criminally involved youth into community colleges. It's about getting Dorchester youth away from a life of crime to earning associate's degrees. It's about turning around the lives of those young adults deemed least likely to succeed. This morning we are joined by college-bound Senior Vice President Michelle Caldeira, and also by two of her success stories. John Smith St. Cyr is a former high school dropout with a criminal record who is grateful to have been given a second and even a third chance to succeed in life at college-bound Dorchester. He hopes that by sharing his story, he can show that other young adults that anything is possible. We also have with us today DeAndre Young, who in the 11th grade dropped out of high school after getting caught up in the street life. Today, he's turned his life around and comes to us to share his experience at college-bound Dorchester. Welcome to Urban Update. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Michelle, let me start with you. You know, for those who missed college-bound Dorchester the last time you were here, briefly explain what exactly do you do to keep the most at-risk youth away from a life of crime?
Well, Byron, like you said, we focus on students who have been incarcerated, have dropped out of high school, those students, young people who are not connected to any sort of educational program or training program. And what we do, we focus on two key things. We provide instruction for them to get up to speed academically so they can get into and through college. And we, the key part of our work is really our social emotional skill building that really works to support students with deep, trusting relationships so that they can turn their lives around, like you said, and become productive citizens.
Okay. John Smith St. Cyr, now you were headed down the wrong path. Can you talk to us about your success story?
Sure. So for me, it was a little difficult in the neighborhood I come from, over in Dorchester. And, I got caught up with the wrong crowd, as they said. Really started hanging with, in my eyes, was my peers that lived in the neighborhood, not really mature enough to understand, the different consequences with getting wrapped up with the wrong people. In school, my behaviors kind of transferred from, the at-home life to school. I was suspended a lot of times. Eventually, 12th grade, I was expelled, And so I was sent to an alternative school. Didn't really like the atmosphere there, so I eventually just dropped out, was back into the streets, running around the neighborhood. I heard of College Bound right around the corner on Bowden Street, and so I just decided, let me drop in, see what they're about, want to get my education. And honestly, from there, it was kind of like a wrap. It was history,
Okay. Now, DeAndre, you made a change also. Talk about what made you enroll.
Well, a friend of mine, his father works at College Bound, and he finally made me realize that I had to better myself to help out my family. And I thought starting off with my high school diploma would really put me on the right path, and that's kind of what happened.
Okay, and you weren't heading down that path prior to that?
No, I dropped out of school in 11th grade. I always had good grades, though. I just felt like money was more important at the time, and I dropped out to do that.
Now, Michelle, at what age do most college-bound Dorchester youngsters enroll, and how do you get them to do this?
So our students are generally between anywhere from 17 to 27. And like I said, we go after them. We hire folks like John who are from the community, who understand the challenges that our students have, and who can reach them and can be able to share their story with them and get them to come in and engage with us.
Now, John and Andrea, talk to me about your attitudes towards, authority figures, and specifically, police officers. Is this something that's changed at all? Because we've seen what's been going on for the past year with this whole Ferguson thing. And, growing up in the city, growing up heading down the wrong path, has your attitude toward authority figures changed at all?
I've realized that they have a job to do, more authority. They probably know more or less than I do. So I don't know.
What about you, John? Any thoughts about that?
So for me personally, I wouldn't say my attitude per se has changed. I would say more so my behaviors, which kind of leaves me out of the line of the police, getting into like criminal activity and things like that. Like I said, I understand they're a profession, they're human beings just like us. They just want to go do their job. But for me, to stay out of, the chaos, I just do what I need to do.
Michelle, why is it so important to work so hard to, break this cycle and target these at-risk kids?
Well, like you said earlier, ending generational urban poverty is something that we have not been able to do. And we believe that it's because there's a group of young people that no one's focused on, that folks have left behind and let fall through the cracks. We reach for those that are closer to success, that easier to serve. Folks think that these guys are difficult. Maybe they've made too many mistakes. But we see their genius. We believe in them, and we hire people who believe in them as well.
Now, to put this in perspective, how many kids have you been able to really have an impact on in these past 5 years? Is it?
Yep.
5 years.
Yep.
And how do you measure success?
Yeah. So our ultimate goal is to get folks to graduate from college and then come back into the community, and so that we can see change from within. And so in the past 3 years, we've been around for about 5 years doing this work. In the last 3 years, we've really honed in on what we're doing. And more than 125 students have gone into college. 82 are right now on college campuses throughout Boston. 16 have graduated. And then we have folks like John. John's one of our success stories, like you said, and he's back working for us, doing the same thing, engaging young people.
Amazing. Why Dorchester?
Dorchester is like many other urban cities in the country. This model that we have, that we found, we think it's a solution to ending generational urban poverty. And if we can do it here in Dorchester, here in Boston, we can do it in the country, in the rest of the country.
John, now I hear that you're enrolled at the University of New Hampshire, or New Hampshire University. Tell me about what you're working on, and I guess you're also working with College Bound Dorchester as well.
I am. So I'm currently pursuing my bachelor's degree in social psychology. And like you said, I'm working over at College Bound as a college readiness advisor, where I get to do the same work that was basically, done with me when I had a college readiness advisor, just giving me the advice, the support, which is really big, and opportunities to grow. And so now I bring that to my students.
What kind of advice do you give them? What do you tell those kids?
Just keep going. Oftentimes we feel like there's no hope, there's no opportunity, we have no direction, and so we give up. It's just like, at 17, your life can be over, before you even begin to live. And so I just tell them not to quit, not to give up.
Now, DeAndre, I understand one of the big reasons for your change is your son. Could you talk to me about how becoming a parent sort of put things in perspective for you?
Well, now I know I got somebody watching my every move. I have I have to be a role model. And the main reason I thought, I had dreams of before I got my high school diploma was my son asking me a question on his homework or something and I didn't know the answer to. So I really put that in my head, in the back of my mind, like, if my son can't come to me for answers, and quite who's he going to go to? And I think that's what pushed me to get mine, where I'm at now.
All right. Now, and you were enrolled at?
Bunker Hill.
Bunker Hill
for psychology.
Wow, that's great. That's fabulous. Now, Michelle, I know you had a big gala last Thursday, and it was a pretty big success. What was the? Tell me about it a little bit. Whatever you can tell me about.
Yeah. So last Thursday we celebrated these successes. It's a fundraiser, an annual fundraiser that we do. We were happy to have Mayor Walsh, who has been hugely supportive of our work, a lot of other elected officials, and hundreds of other people who support our work. And grateful to have folks who want to do this with us and want to support that.
You talked about one of the keys of what you do is working with that social emotional piece. Talk to me. What is the core of what you're trying to do for these kids?
Yeah. So it's a curriculum that we've developed. It's really building deep mentoring relationships, really finding ways to get young people who have been told that they cannot be successful, that they cannot go to college, that they cannot hold a job, finding ways to engage with them, get them to trust you so that they can then develop that again for their own children and their peers.
And John and DeAndre, I guess very quickly in the remaining moments, what is there something that that made the light bulb go on in your head when you talked to these people? What was it that you think worked at least to help change your attitudes?
For me, it was just understanding that it was more about the community and more about, you know, everyone else instead of just my success, me going to college. You know, like DeAndre said, now I'm a role model to a lot of different students, and so like it kind of has a trickle effect.
DeAndre, the thing that you really got out of this program that you were most grateful for, I suppose.
Well, they help you out with everything, really. They push you to get into college, they help you get through college, and they help you out afterwards.
What are your long-term goals?
I want to be a CRA. I want to be sitting where John is.
Okay, all right. And what about you?
I want to be sitting where you're at.
All right, okay. Well, I think that was a good time to end the show on that. Okay. John Smith of St. Cyr, DeAndre Young, thank you for coming in. Michelle Caldeira, thank you so much. Great work. You know, keep up the great work. It's really a fabulous thing you got going here. So, well, the city of Boston hosts a celebration on Boston Common to commemorate a milestone civil rights law. All the details coming up next here on Urban Update.